All right, guys, I've never really done a video like this. I got to tell you, Matt's not really in a good place. We're going to be doing this in real time. This is the stuff he's going through now. He's questioning his future. Where's he at? His past not really working out. We've never made a video like this because usually everybody's full of hope and optimism, and not that you're not. No, we're going to get into all that, but I got to tell you. I think it's extremely, I'm not sure what, maybe brave of Matt to do this because he's sharing this, because this happens a lot down here, but you don't see this kind of talk really. And we're going to catch everybody up to what's going on with Matt, where he's at in about a minute. Hey guys, I'm Michael Allen for TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Normally we're a travel agency. Go to TravelCostaRicaNow.com, fill out the 4-minute form. Be that much closer to vacation of a lifetime. We're like you. Having best friends who live in Costa Rica, who know Costa Rica, totally hooking up your Costa Rica vacation. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you did. And if you want to help us defeat the dirty, mean algorithms of YouTube, I'd appreciate it if you hit the notification bell. That way you'll see our videos as we put them up. And got to mention, relocation retreats coming up in about a month, almost exactly. So there's still time. If Costa Rica is on your map, thinking about living here, you want to make absolutely sure if Costa Rica is right for you, go down in the description. The link to all the info is there. I will be speaking. We'll be talking about the good and the bad and the ugly of living here. Nobody's going to try to sell you anything, but you will absolutely know after this 6-7 day event if Costa Rica is right for you or you need to move on. All right, man. But if you're thinking about moving to Costa Rica anyway, you want to catch this video because we're going to be probably going over some of the things that are considerations that he's been dealing with through the 18 months?
Yeah, almost 2 years in May.
All right, so Matt, first of all, I really appreciate this. I know this is hard.
Happy to be back.
Totally relate. But okay, so if you're not sure who Matt is, we have done 2 videos with Matt. The first time was about 18 months ago or so. I can't really recall. And he had, you decided on stay in Costa Rica. I'm going to live here. I'm going to live out my life here. Real quick, he kind of got hit by that cryptocurrency thing. And the second video, so the first video was great. He's just, hey, this is great. And we were just kind of talking about living in Costa Rica, his perspective. And it was all really, good stuff.
Yeah.
The second video was that got kind of hit with the cryptocurrency, had to go to plan B, and he was going to go take a job in Alaska teaching. All right. So that's where we're going to pick up the story. Now, even in that video, I think it's true that you were going to go down there for like a year or so, right. But your plans were to come back here. Isn't that how that ended up?
Yes.
All right. Well, if he was going to be down there a year, he wouldn't be doing this video because that video was about 4 months, or I don't know, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. So, Matt, again, thank you so much because we're going to be hitting some things that, I don't know, might be TMI, might be.
Not at all. It's good for people to know.
So I think it's going to be helpful. So let's get you into Alaska. You left Costa Rica. You're going to be a teacher in Alaska. Let's kind of quickly go over that, and then we're going to get you back here.
Okay. Yeah, that was back in the beginning of August and
2022,
right. And because of a number of circumstances that we'll talk about a little bit further in the video, I needed to make a rational decision, and that was to go back to teaching, kind of unretire and go back. Had an opportunity to go back to a town called Alaskacat, Alaska. So I did that. 2 months into the teaching, had a family emergency that I had to make a very difficult choice and come back to take care of somebody in my family. So
when you say come back, that's going back to the United States.
Back to the United States and Wisconsin. Mm-hmm.
So you were in you sent some pictures when you were there. So this was a little, just real quick, kind of talk about that town really briefly. Because wasn't that like a little like...
It was. It's one of those small villages where they fly you in on a plane. Just very close knit unit, great people, just very close family-like situation, and it was beautiful. The weather was great at that time. Had my first opportunity to see the Northern Lights.
Dude, it was not. What are you talking about?
That was right at the end when I was heading back, but it was nice up until that point, right when I was starting to come back.
You saw the Northern Lights?
Saw the Northern Lights. Never had seen those before. Just beautiful. I mean, it was gorgeous.
That would have been worth it right there.
It was. It was.
So you were going to make pretty. I can't remember if you said in the video, but you were going to make pretty good money doing that gig for a year, which could have brought you back here. So you were there a couple months. Had to go back to the States for a family issue. And so I'm not sure how long you were in the States, but what happened to where you go, I'm just going to go back to Costa Rica?
So what ended up happening, took care of a family member who needed some help there to try to get him in a better place. And eventually I got to a point with the money where I had to make a decision. Either I stay in Wisconsin, where apartments and renting a car was expensive because I didn't have a car. I had sold everything when I moved down to Costa Rica. So had to make a tough decision again. And fortunately, the family member was in a better place. And I decided that with my financial situation, I had maybe 1 month left that I could have made it in Wisconsin without having to research teaching again, which I didn't want to go back to at that point, or take the chunk of money that I had and come back to Costa Rica, which would have given me 3 months down here and an opportunity to kind of figure things out and live very inexpensively.
Which isn't really a lot of time necessarily.
It goes fast. It goes fast.
But it probably would be easy to do that, or easier to do that here than Wisconsin. The money's going to go a little further here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Those 3 months, fiscally and financially, it was a much better option for me.
So what was going through your brain? So when you decided, I'm going to go back to Costa Rica, and I got about 3 months to get something going, what were you thinking? I mean, where was your head at? You weren't going to, obviously not teaching. You couldn't legally teach here, except for internet. But
so aside from the teaching, I had a couple of side hobbies of writing books that I've done. Unfortunately, they didn't bring in the kind of money that I'd hoped they would. So I started researching some other, what people are calling side hustles or side internet jobs, things you can do as a digital nomad anywhere. I started an Etsy store. I did some photography sales on a couple of websites, and recently started a YouTube channel. But again, those are all things that take time to get the money.
But is this what you were thinking about when you were there, when you made this decision? Go, I'm not going back to Alaska. I'm going back to Costa Rica. And this is, you like, or did you really even know, or did you just go, well, I'll figure out something in the 3 months?
There's a little bit of that in the back of my head, but I knew I had to have a plan. And so I researched, as I said, these things very carefully, and felt that the few different streams of income would be enough to sustain me. And after a while, they would start to, take hold, and everything would be okay. But unfortunately, they didn't. And
well, let's
so that's kind of
for the timeline. For the timeline, you've been back for how long?
About a month and a half now.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought it was a little longer than
about
that.
a month and a half.
Oh, so you're still in the 3 months?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. But still, the window's closing. So there's.
How do you feel right now about that?
Nervous, very nervous. So basically, just to kind of help the viewers to understand a little bit more of the background of what got me to this position, I made a series of bad decisions from the end of 2021 and quite a ways through the year of 2022. Essentially, what I did is I took a chance, as you mentioned earlier, about the cryptocurrency, and went all in on that. I trusted a couple of people with what turned out to be 2/3 of my income. Never heard back from them. The contacts.
Well, initially, it was good though, right? As far as like numbers showed.
Well, before I left Alaska from the original retirement, I had a really good chunk of money down here. So the first 7 or 8 months were just amazing. I traveled. I got to know the people here. I made a lot of good friendships. I immersed myself in.
I remember those 8 months. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And then
we never saw you though, Matt, because I think you got hooked up with some people.
Well, I was in the restaurants writing. That's one place, and then there was another decision that I made. I made the decision to take on a relationship with someone from a different country, considerably younger than me. So there were cultural differences and age difference that played a big part. And then I'd say from January until about April, just kind of had at it. And unfortunately, this person had quit their job right when we moved in together. So I
and she was down here as
just a tourist and traveling, staying in hostels and whatnot. So then just pretty much covered all the expenses. And in that 4 months, the last third of the money that I had just kind of ran out. And as a result of that, the relationship kind of dispersed.
It almost sounds like you're almost making it sound like she hung out with you for the money. I could be wrong.
Hard to say, but all signs point to possibly. And
I'm sorry.
No, it's just the way it was. And then I fortunately I had a friend who was able to loan me an additional $5,000 to help us get through May and June, and then this person made the decision that the money was out and had a better option to travel around the country with a couple who was kind of involved in the ending of the relationship. And so I, at that point in July, had to figure out, what am I going to do to unretire? And so that's where I made the decision to
well, let's go back real quick.
revisit Alaska.
But do you feel like, I mean, you hooked up with this person? I mean, do you feel that, or are you saying that was a bad decision, or just because of how it all worked out, oh, I shouldn't have done it? Because I remember kind of back in the, it seems like things were pretty good in a sense. Not saying, I don't know, I'm not trying to pry too much into the relationship, but it doesn't sound like that's, although a cautionary tale, I can't tell you how many people do come down here and do take that plunge into relationships. A lot of times it's with more locals that, you know, she wasn't even really a local, but so I don't know what that even means, but a lot of people do come down here like single men or whatever and do, I don't know, looking for love. I'm not sure, I'm not saying you were looking for love, but I don't know, but it didn't sound like it was maybe a bad decision in hindsight, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, a little bit. And I think about the way that I went through it. Again, the first 3 months that we spent together were wonderful and had a great time. But I think I could have been a lot more cautious with my money, a lot more, just having a lot more forethought about how far that was going to go. You know, when you're on your own, for me, we've talked about this before, and we can talk about it more in the video. Everybody always asks, is it expensive to live in Costa Rica? And it's only as expensive as you make it. You know, if you bring your lifestyle from the United States or Canada or Germany or wherever you're coming from, if you want to repeat that lifestyle, it's going to be more expensive, but you can find a way to learn inexpensively. And on my own, I did that. I could live for, I think it was just a little over $1,000 a month here. But when you get yourself into a relationship, you really have to be in a really good place. You have to be structured about how you're spending your money, have some good foresight for the future, and just know that it's going to be a bigger chunk of money, especially when you're taking care of both people. And I didn't think through those things very carefully. So I take full responsibility for things not working out. And, you know, I didn't have the foresight about, you know, what was down the road and kind of what the plan B was in a relationship.
Do you have animosity? Do you think you got played? You don't have to get into it. I'm just saying, did you feel like, if you're looking back, like, well, maybe I didn't?
Again, I got to take responsibility for my choice of who I chose to be with and how long I stayed in the relationship. And there were other people who got involved in the situation who had a big impact on the decision of this particular person to leave. And, you know, I have to live with that decision.
It's almost like it is what it is, right? So
yeah.
And that was pre-Alaska.
Yeah. Yes, that's before I made the decision to unretire and go back to teaching. Yeah.
Okay, so kind of, it sounds like more just money kind of ran out, whatever, and so you had to make that call. So
yes.
Now you're down here within your 3 months, and I mean, you know, I don't know how many, you know, the viewers have seen, you know, how many videos they've seen of ours, but you know, we made all these mistakes as well, you know, really, and I think D'Angelo and I were very close to living under a freeway. That's the phrase I always use because we really were that close. We kind of got lucky because I started working in a coffee shop here, which is not really allowed to do. I mean, I can say that now, but I worked for, I think, 1.5 years, 2 years in a coffee shop while we were working on this other stuff. So I kind of got lucky. And we, the other thing we got lucky about, it sounds like you're at least lucky in this regard. You didn't buy a house, you don't have a car, you don't have all these things that could have really got you in trouble really quick. And D'Angelo and I were kind of that same thing. We made a bunch of mistakes, but we didn't own a house, we didn't have a car, so we got a cheap apartment, which just is above here,
right.
And, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So we could still live pretty frugally while we tried to figure stuff out. But man, there was some real touch and go, you know, so I can totally relate. And I know a lot of other people can because, you know, as well, if they were a little honest. Most people really aren't honest when their family and friends go, so what happened in Costa Rica? Why didn't you make it? Oh, well, you know, it's too expensive, or I don't like, you know, it's always some sort of, people don't really like to take the responsibility.
No, I made a series of bad decisions and choices of, not only financially, but people to spend my time with. And so I'm having to just kind of pick myself back up from that. And I've learned a brand new way to live inexpensively. I'm doing work for a
Travel Costa Rica now?
Yes, for the website to help with rent. And
so we've been looking for a person like Matt for a long time. So somebody that can help us, which he's been a big time help, and he's been staying in one of D'Angelo's apartments. Again, we're very happy to have him, and he's been helping us with our real estate and all kinds of stuff. So if you want to find ways to, and I think you have some more, there might be other options in the future as well that might be able to ease your mind a little bit. But
yes.
So what are the feelings kind of right now? Are you in kind of flux? I mean, it's very, I don't know, it's very stressful when you don't really know the future, the goals kind of fell off, from whatever happened, prior. And you kind of like, well, that didn't work out. And like, start questioning yourself almost kind of in a self-esteem type of way a little bit, which I can relate to. So how do you feel right now? Are you in, where's your head at on this? Are you feeling positive? Are you feeling like, oh my God, what have I done? Where are you at on that?
A couple of different places. To the viewer, you see us smiling and talking right now, but I'm not gonna lie. I'll be honest. There have been some really dark days when you wake up and you've got 63 cents in your bank account and you're wondering where the money's going to come from when none of your sources of income are bringing anything in, and you have to, ration your food, eggs and bread, and learn to live very expensively. And so it's either that you pull the plug and give up on life, or you just say, I just got to keep forging ahead. And, made the bad decisions, but now I got to make some good decisions. So I get up every day, make my bed, get dressed, take a shower, go for a walk every day, try to get my head clear, sit down at the computer all day and just try to find different ways that I can still, try to make money. And it's a slow process, but I'm just trying to stay optimistic that, good things are going to come, and keep plugging away.
Well, I'm I think you keep trying to get up that next day is important.
Yeah.
It's better than not getting up.
No,
so
you're right.
You try to get up, but I think you keep plugging away. But I think the stress comes from being in another country, though, a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, what?
Yeah, sometimes you think a million different things in your head, and sometimes you think of what I would call the ride or die people, who are the people who are in your corner, the maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people that you can, without a doubt, pick up the phone and know that they're going to be there for you. And, sometimes you feel very, very alone down here. And it's a choice you make by coming down here by yourself. And you have to learn to live with that.
I'm sorry, let's talk about that for a minute, because I think it's very important, because I can actually relate to this. It is kind of when you're with your thoughts, by yourself, you can get, well, I'm speaking for myself. You can get kind of lost in your head sometimes.
I get it.
Especially like if you're, too much time, in your apartment, or you're thinking too much, and a lot of times it can go south.
Yes, very quickly.
So I can tell, again, I can relate to all that, and I get it. So,
that's why getting up every day and going for a walk is still just
keeping
incredible.
That routine.
Yeah, rain or shine. I just, you get out the door and that gets the day started, and you start out optimistic, and you just got to stay hopeful. I mean, like I said, I got a couple of choices. I can lay in bed and
feel sorry for yourself.
Feel sorry for myself, or get up, or make some things happen. And I guess the message I want people to see is that sometimes things don't always work out the way you plan. So those first 8 months here were amazing, but you got to have the forethought of what is my future going to be down here? What am I going to do when things start to slow down? What am I going to do if I get lonely? Am I going to get myself into a relationship? Am I ready to get myself into a relationship? Those are some of the questions that I ask myself in retrospect. I could sit here and regret all these decisions that I make, but that's not the right way to go about it. What can I do differently to not make some of those same decisions again, to make this a better experience moving forward? I don't want to leave Costa Rica. I love it here. I love La Fortuna. I think everybody who comes down has to find their place where they're happiest, and this is the place where I'm the happiest. I just have to find what it is that's going to keep me in my lane here in La Fortuna.
So as far as like another relationship, does that being kind of by yourself a lot, does that make you want to like, oh, that girl's looking at me. Let me plunge into that again, let me start that thing. Or, you know what I mean? Like, does it make it kind of like, it might be better? No,
I sure hope I learned some lessons from the first time around. And people sitting back home are going to have a million different theories on, that kind of thing. And the bottom line is you got to learn to live by yourself and love yourself and be able to live alone before you can spend time with someone else. And so I've taken these last number of months to get back to that place. If it happens, great. Am I in a financial place to handle that kind of a situation now? No. But it's open far in the future. But right now I'm just looking to take care of myself, get myself back whole financially and be in a better place.
I would probably make the argument if you don't have a ton of money to figure things out, Costa Rica is not a bad place to try and figure things out
agree.
if you don't have a whole lot of money. I know we did kind of the same thing you did for a number. I think we really struggled probably for 2 years, just, I mean, paying bills, and the only thing that I think separated maybe a little bit is we did have a goal when we were starting all this. So we had goals of like, let's say making the videos or starting a website. We just kept plugging away, maybe even stupidly in a sense, but we just kept going because we really didn't have any. We just had to keep going. I did my coffee shop thing. D'Angelo's up on the computer trying to figure out Wikipedia stuff or whatever.
Right.
So I get it. So are you giving yourself any kind of length of time? Are you playing it by ear? What's your thought on that?
And yes, a little of both of those. I'd kind of given myself a window of time that I was maybe going to give it another month. But again, I really don't want to leave here. So I'm trying very hard to, like I said, do a couple of other streams of income that can help me out. Just try to be real patient on that. There is a tiny shimmer of light on the cryptocurrency side of things. The investment that I got in, there was some contact made with the people who are holding my money. So there is a potential for that. So I got to stay hopeful for that. And then I guess call it worst case scenario, which again is having to leave Costa Rica. I do have a teaching degree. I do have a college education, so I can always go back to Wisconsin, find a job, get myself whole there again. And when I am in a better place, come back to Costa Rica.
I think that almost would be harder to do.
It's feeling that way right now.
Because it almost seems like, I mean, I'm not speaking for you. I'm just saying, if I had to, going back was tail between my legs. It was like I'm living in Costa Rica, and if I go back, if we were to go back, it would have been like we couldn't do it. We didn't make it. This was on, and it would have been on us. So we just kind of got lucky on that regard. But I would have I could never. Although I worked with kids, that's how I made my money. All that kind of stuff. If something happened here and I couldn't go back. I just literally couldn't. I mean, I technically could. I could make a lot of money kind of again. And I just couldn't get back on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't do it. I'd probably go to Nicaragua first or something and try to make something go there or clean toilets somewhere. I could not go back to the United States. I would be so bummed. I don't want to say depressed because that might be a little overused word sometimes.
Right.
But I just would be so bummed that I couldn't.
No, I can say with a lot of confidence that I don't want to return to teaching. I had 24 really good years.
And it was great, right?
It was great. And I would like to kind of end on that. And I have a lot of other skills that I can do. So if I really have to,
you are a good writer,
I would hop on the
by
plane.
The way. You didn't really
I
say too
appreciate
much.
that.
I think we hit it in the first video.
We did.
By the way, his other 2 videos I will put in the links if you want to get caught up in the interview process for the last 20 months of his little voyage through
Adventure.
life.
Yep.
So is there any, what advice would you give for let's say kind of a similar, single man coming down, maybe trying to do a change of life. Maybe I think like you probably live a little bit more simpler life that you're doing. Is there advice? Is it like, well, have a plan B and C, or what's some of the advice? Or
that's definitely what I would say. Obviously coming down with a plan, if you're coming down here for the first time, I really, really advocate for spending, like I said, a good 7, 8 months, 9 months even of just checking out the country. Find a place that you like. Are you a beach person? Are you a more of an inland person? What really speaks to you as far as a place to stay? Definitely have your finances in order. Know what it is that you have to work with. How far along is that going to get you? So if you do come down here, let's say you stay for a year or 2 and you really like it, but you say, you know what, this just isn't for me. I do want to go back. Just make sure that you're in a place that you're going back to a comfortable financial place that can get you back to wherever else it is you want to go. And then, like you just said, that plan B or C, things may not work out down here. And I'm not saying that things didn't work out for me. I just took a little detour and made some decisions that weren't the best for me.
Everything happens the way it's supposed to.
It does. I truly believe that. So everything happens for a reason, and I'm a better person for it. And so again, so those people who are coming down, just know that things can change and you have to be able to adjust to that.
I don't want to hammer this because it sounds like because I probably would have done the same thing and everybody else does the same thing. But I would even probably go as far as to say, I would leave. If you're coming down here by yourself, be by yourself for a while.
I think that's a good idea.
It's easier for me to say that. I'd probably break it as well. But I think the relationship distracts from living that year and a half to get bearings to, like where I want to be. Am I doing what I'm, want to be doing? And obviously relationship is going to be a huge distraction on your focal point of heading in a direction. In a sense,
I couldn't have said that any better. It's I don't know what to call it, a weakness, or that was just a part of me that
we all have it.
Yeah, I didn't give it the time that I should have. I should have given it that year and a half to just be on my own, enjoy friends, enjoy other people. But I made a choice, and it wasn't the right time. So I can now look back and say that it was just something that I need to think through. So that would be good advice to someone. Come down, be okay with yourself for a while, and once you're established and you know what you want, then the time is going to be right, and it'll show itself to you.
Actually, that's a good, I would, I think a lot of people have I think almost everybody has a hard time being with themselves personally. So I think it's a good time to, like, if you're a single man coming down here or a single woman, it is a good time to go, can I even be by myself?
That's a good question.
It might be a good check just to kind of go, okay, I do like that girl, and maybe we can hang out sometimes. But let me see if I can do this. Am I good?
Right.
Because most of us probably, I don't know.
Yeah, people should check those boxes before they even leave where they're coming from, and just say, if I'm going down there, I got to be prepared. If I'm going to be ready for that, yes, and if not, then they got to be okay on their own.
So, how long are you prepared to struggle? How long is this adventure where you just
$1 million question? I'm going to try to give it another couple of months and see where things go. I'm very optimistic. Some of these things that I'm working on online are looking promising. Just recently here in town, there's an opportunity coming up within a couple of months, hopefully. So I'm going to try to ride it out. And I've learned to live on bread and eggs and ketchup and mustard sandwiches. And once in a while, get a lunch from a friend, and I'll make it. I'll find a way.
Might be time to hit that donate button on travelcostarica.com.
No, I'm good. But where there's a will, there's a way. And as much as it's been a struggle, I'm equally as excited and motivated to make things work out.
Well, if I can keep talking you into helping us more with the real estate, then things will definitely work out.
All right,
that's a goer. So, wait, what else? I just don't feel like we touched everything. Have we touched everything? If you did go back, would it literally be to just like act like Costa Rica never happened and go back and do teaching?
No,
would you do that? Would you try to do like a Costa Rica simple life and apply it to like let's like back in Wisconsin, to where, like, let's say you're a bartender doing pretty good, no responsibilities, and just kind of living more of a simple, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Or would you just kind of go back to the hamster wheel of, teaching and, I got to get that apartment. I need the new couch,
I think only out of necessity. And because I've learned to live on next to nothing here, I would take that mentality back to the United States. I made my mind up a long time ago. And I think for all the viewers, it's age and stage. Where are you at in your life? Are you ready to retire? Are you a little bit younger and do you just want to come to Costa Rica and check things out, or any of these other places? It could be Nicaragua or Panama or wherever you want to go to. But for me, it would be a temporary necessity. I would go back, get my chunk of money, get settled again. And when I knew that I was in a good place, I'm coming back. So again, each person's going to have to kind of determine what's best for them in their own situation. But for me, it's already in my mind that I want to be here. And
I like that fact. I like the fact that you're not going to give up even if you do go. Because you said the same thing about when you went to Alaska. You were very adamant in that video about, I'm going to Alaska, but I'm coming back. Yes. I'm coming back. So, well, I do. I don't think everything I don't think things happen for a reason necessarily, but I do think things happen when they're supposed to.
Yes.
Everything is perfectly laid out. The good and the bad is still perfect. At least that's the way I look at it.
I agree.
But, I don't know. I think it's going to work out. I think you don't need that many people on your side. I don't think here.
No, if you have that handful of people who support you and you know that you're there, then you're in a good place. And again, I just want people who are watching to know that, sometimes you're going to take detours and that it's okay. And you just got to pick yourself up and stay strong to your plan and believe in what you want to do. And
so you wouldn't necessarily change that you would come down. You would have done the same thing before. I mean, like if you had to redo this, you might have made a couple different decisions, but you still would have ended up in Costa Rica. You would still be doing your thing, and you just might have changed a couple little variants of.
Yes.
What if this is just my own person? What if crypto? You didn't have a ton of money in the beginning. Would Costa Rica have still been on your map, or would you have still gone on with your life, or did you kind of just at that time were you kind of going, well, I want to live a simpler life. I got a kind of a good amount of money to back that simple life up, or at least to get a start on it. Would you have done it without the money, or not as much money?
I think I would have. We had talked about this in some previous videos that I had come down here.
I can't recall yesterday, Matt.
I know, that's all right. So I came down here for a trip for 10 days and fell in love with it. And so I said I wanted to come back and see some more. And then it was that 7 or 8 month period that I really gave it some time to immerse myself and try out some different cities and towns and said, this is for me. And then I just had to figure out how I was going to make it work. So I definitely would have done it the same way. And again, whether it was a small chunk of money or a big chunk of money.
Well, this is obviously going to be continued. Matt's been very great and forthcoming. It's hard for, this is the only video I think we have on kind of like this. Usually everybody's like, yeah, I wake up to coffee and toucans outside my window, and some people are blowing smoke. Trust me, I know when I'm talking to them. But anyway, I certainly appreciate you kind of letting people know.
My pleasure. Happy to share.
At the very least, a cautionary tale, but still one of hope, I think, or, I think the future's going to be good.
Yep,
but we're definitely going to be, whatever happens, I'm going to, we'll probably be doing this again somewhere, whether I'm doing it from the airport going, Matt's leaving.
Right.
All right, guys, I'm Michael Allen, travelcostarica.com. Peace, guys. Hope it helps. Things are going to pop up. If you're thinking about living or traveling anywhere, always do your homework and research. And if it's Costa Rica, I'll put our videos up against anybody. And I can't wait to see you at the relocation retreat you probably signed up to while we were making this video. Say goodbye, Matt.
Take care.